Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lounge. Oh my goodness. I am so excited today. Can I tell y'all a little story? So, you know how sometimes you get known for something? Apparently, people know me for collaboration. I don't know where they got that idea from. Maybe it could be because I wrote a little book about collaboration. Anyway, a very dear friend of mine, someone who I hold in very high esteem, said to me, "Oh, you're all about collaboration. You've got to meet Dr. Tanya because you guys are just going to get on like a house on fire." And so I was like, well, if she's a friend of yours, hey, I want to meet her. And so behind the curtain peek, this is my very first time meeting Dr. Tanya, but it feels like we've been old friends. This is awesome. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Dr. Tanya, welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, Davia, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And it does feel
Wonderful.
like we've known each other
Doesn't
for a
it
long time.
just?
I know. I
I
just had
know.
that feeling when I saw your post and when you were, messaging me. I'm like, why don't I feel like I know her. Why do I know her?
I know. You know what it is? Our hearts know each other. That's
That's
what
right.
it is. That's what it is. And
This
when
whole group.
Yes, when people who are soul-centered come together, it's like it's like a real homecoming. And so I'm really excited to embrace you as part of our Ladies Power Lunch community.
Thank you.
Dr. Tanya, will you share with our community who you are and what it is that you are doing in the world?
Well, yeah, I'm Dr. Tanya English, and I'm known as the soul chiropractor because what I do is remove interference from what's keeping your soul from releasing its inner passion and from being able to bring into your life exactly what you want and know that you're not alone, that you have source energy with you all the time,
Mm,
and that it's listening to you, it's supporting you, it's nurturing you. But in this culture, so often we are told not to listen to our intuition. Hey, I want to just say, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, yeah, I got this intuition about that and it was completely wrong. Nobody's ever said that. So what we want to do is just help people. I say we because there's some other people that help me, not the royal we, but
it's
there's other
royal,
people.
pretty royal.
It's pretty. Actually, we were just doing a crown meditation last night. Um, that that we can actually use the power that we have for healing that's within us in every one of us, that we can use that power at will. And
Mhm.
most people believe that healing has to be difficult, but my motto is healing is easy, suffering is hard.
Oh,
So
yes.
let's not suffer. Let's do healing.
I love that. So, for those of you who don't know, I identify so very much with Dr. Tanya because what she does is also what I do. So I actually, on the days when I'm not here hanging out with you guys in Ladies Power Lunch, I'm actually treating with patients in my office too, who come in with pain and they come in with the headaches and the neck pain and the back pain. So the things that you're talking about are the things that I am seeing all day long in my
Oh yeah.
practice. Absolutely. You're basically, this is the quorum right here. This is the
Mhm.
choir that you're preaching
Yes.
to.
I realized here's a couple of things that you might not realize is that when we bury our feelings, when we don't pay attention to them or we try to brush them under the rug, they're still working on us. And those negative feelings, they're not bad, they're just negative. When those negative feelings aren't addressed, aren't dealt with, aren't listened to, they continue to work on us and degrade us
Mhm.
physiologically. And so the last thing that shows up is pain. That's the very last thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm trying to always get to the root cause. What's the root cause of this? It could be trauma from childhood. It could be um, actual trauma that happened in adulthood. It could be somebody said something, and as children, we took it in as real, as a belief. And now
Hmm.
it just continues. So we're always looking for those things that are keeping that negative physiology going. And it's actually pretty easy to do. You just have to learn all the techniques to do it. So I do about a dozen different techniques to help people do that. And I've been doing that over the phone and online since 2014. So energy healing doesn't know distance. It doesn't know time. It just is healing. So when we're going back in and looking at ancestral beliefs that have fallen on you, we're actually going back and healing that ancestor too. So for instance, there's a lot of people who have been told over and over again, well, we're German, and so we like to do this, or we're this, and we like to do that. I hear this all the time, and I'm like, yeah, but you're American. You're American. What you're talking about, when people say that, what they're talking about is these beliefs that have been handed down over millennia. And so we have to go and clear those things too, because that can work on us. It actually gets into our DNA and becomes part of us. I mean, how many times do you need to hear, Davia, that your family, maybe not, but maybe your family were slaves at one time? How does that work on you over generations and generations and generations? So what we want to do is make sure that we're getting really down to the root cause of what's going on. Yes. And that can be kind of scary at times, but I'll tell you what, it takes a lot more energy to ignore these root causes than it does to fix them and clear them up and get them in present time where healing happens.
I love that so much. I ask this question of pretty much every person who comes on the show, but I think I'm really looking forward to your answer to this, Tanya. When you see patients for the very first time, or when you see us walking around with blinders on, if you could just reach out and hug us and give us one piece of advice, what's the one thing you wish we all knew?
When you breathe in intentionally, you're inviting spirit in. Inspiration. So if you would just put just a little bit of time each day, I don't know, maybe 32 seconds, on putting your attention on your breath and just inviting spirit in. And as you exhale, saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's going to change your life. Literally, it will change your life. You want to do it?
I think we should. I think we actually should. Do you want to lead us?
It only takes 32 seconds. Sure. So what we're going to do is something that I teach everybody that I can. It's called 4-count breathing. And you're going to breathe in for 4 counts, hold it in for 4 counts, exhale through your nose for 4 counts, and hold it out for 4 counts. And we're going to do that around twice. So it only takes 32 seconds. So if you're ready to do this, just go ahead and exhale your breath out. And now breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe normally.
It's always good to remind us to breathe normally at the end.
Yes, definitely breathe normally. So what happens when we do that is we take ourselves out of fight or flight response, which is higher heart rate, higher blood pressure, thinking about all the things, and it puts us into counting to 4, putting our attention on our breath, inviting life in, releasing and saying thank you. So simple, easy, right? Healing is easy.
Healing is easy. If we had had this conversation maybe 10, 15 years ago, Tanya, would have been a completely different conversation, because before I was a chiropractor, my background was research, pharmacology, biochemistry.
Oh, wow.
And so I wanted to, for everything that I was doing, see the randomized controlled trials that would explain. I know, but this is where I'm just telling you the truth about what is.
I know, but this is how people think. They need to believe it. They need to see it before they believe it.
But here's the thing. Here's what really pushed me over the edge to the other side. One of my very, very favorite mentors, Dr. Deepak Chopra, his background is endocrinology. And now he spends his days, I kid you not, Dr. Tanya, I want to live that life. He spends his days basically teaching people how to meditate.
Mhm.
And the reason is that we are walking around with so much adrenaline and cortisol in
Mm.
our bodies, and those are catabolic hormones. They
Yeah.
break everything down, and they're not meant to sit around bathing our organs for
Oh my God.
years and years at a time. And so a lot of it sounds so woo woo, but when you look at it from a biochemistry standpoint,
Yeah.
as a biochemist, I can tell you that there is a value to the breath.
Absolutely. I mean, look at it this way. If you don't want to see it as a sciencey thing, but that's true science, what you're talking about. This is not junk science. This is actual
Mhm,
biochemistry. You can look it up in a book. Look it up in Guyton's textbook of medical physiology. It's
mhm,
there. It's all there for you.
mhm.
But when we put it into practical use, then it becomes something like, how could that even change anything? Listen, this is not rocket science.
But it is rocket science, right?
But it is rocket. Yeah, but it is. But it's not. But it is. Yeah, it's actually something so simple as breathing that can change things. And what you're thinking about, you bring about. So when you're
Yes.
thinking about breathing in, counting your breaths and breathing out, you're bringing about the simplicity of life, the beauty of just something so elegant as breathing in and out that I could never have designed. I mean, if it was up to me, I would have made my baby's blood and then went, "Ooh, blood vessels, forgot those. Oops."
Where are
Right?
we going to put all this blood we just made?
So I leave it up to source to take
Yes.
care of those things. In fact, I leave a lot up to source because source is love, right? And so when I just allow love to rule the day, that's a much better outcome for me in all ways.
It's a much better outcome for you. It's a much better outcome for me. It really is a much better outcome for all of us.
Yeah,
So, the time is just flying by so very quickly, but they say that's what happens when you're having fun.
I know.
Let's just give everybody some really key points to take away. What are the do's and don'ts that you would recommend to pretty much everybody?
Um, do take your time and be patient with yourself.
Mhm,
Do forgiveness with yourself. Always forgive yourself. Forgive, forgive, forgive. It's the universal solvent. It will solve any situation, but you have to also forgive yourself. You can't just forgive the other
mhm.
person or the situation. And then once you feel like you've forgiven, it can be very subconscious. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I did that." But when we check subconsciously, your body, mind, spirit isn't agreeing with what you're intellectually saying. So that's one of the things that I do with people is I check to make sure this is really true on all levels. And once you've done that forgiveness, then take your energy back from the situation. And all you have to do is just say, I'm taking my energy back from the situation. I'm breathing it back in. So, number one, forgive. Number two, take your energy back from the situation. And then I guess another one it's really simple. Make sure you're hydrated. Water is life. Yep. Water is life. If you do not have proper hydration, you'll be depressed. You can have arthritis and pain in your joints. It makes everything worse when you're dehydrated. So one of the first things I ask my kids when they call me and say, Mom, what can I do? I say, have you had any water today? Oh yeah. Like that's simple.
It's that
That's
simple.
simple.
Yeah,
And
it
and
really is.
for the work that I do with people, because I work a lot with women who have experienced stillbirth and pregnancy loss, birth trauma, grief in all forms, and there's a lot of grief out there, is
Mhm.
you must be patient with yourself and forgive. It's so important. So this evening, I'm actually going to be singing at the Mississippi Valley Blues Fest because I also have a blues band.
Of course you
And
do.
that's why under my name, under my name, it says healingwiththeblues.com. You can go to that website and you can sign up for the webinar that we're having October 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's all about going from grief to relief and keeping it simple. It's so important. And really about keeping it simple is like, why not make your life easy, right? When we try to, the other do or don't, I would say, is stop trying to fix everything for everybody else and put your attention on yourself. Because, right? Because givers love to give because they have power when they do that. And you can't give and receive out of balance, because then things really start to break down in everything that you do. You have to receive as well. As uncomfortable as that sounds to you givers out there, and I know because I'm a giver too, you have to receive. So I force myself to have massage therapy appointments. Yes, I force myself to do that. Just lay there and receive. It's really, really important. That's an amazing thing to do, is make sure that you're receiving, because there's a thing that I call resistance to assistance. We keep saying we want help, we want help, we want help. Help shows up and we say, oh no, not like that, instead of just accepting the help.
Resistance to assistance.
Yeah.
I like that.
Givers, oh, you're the ones. Controllers, you like to control it. I know, I'm there too. So it's really important for us to have that experience of being able to receive, receive, receive. So receive from yourself forgiveness, love, patience, bring your energy back. And when assistance shows up, take it.
Beautiful. You mentioned, of course, you're singing tonight and that you have an upcoming event. I'm just curious, who are the kinds of people that you serve primarily? For all our listeners today, who are the ones that you're really speaking directly to them?
Well, if you have had some trauma in your life and you've said, I'm just going to deal with this later because I have things to do, that's who I'm talking to. Because even though you've pushed that thing under the rug and you said, I'll deal with it later, later probably doesn't really come.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to dig down into that place that you don't want to even admit is there and pull the goodies out. That's why I say there's treasure in the tragedy. Because in my experience, and from what I've seen from the people that I work with, there's always something good in there.
Yes.
There's always something, some blessing, something that is just inspiring you to move forward. For me, it was the stillbirth of my son 27 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I had that happen, I remember lying in the hospital bed going, do I really believe that everything happens to the highest good or not? Because
Mm-hmm.
if this is to the highest good, show me the good, bring it on.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw so much good over so many years.
Yes.
And now I'm having this full circle moment, because that summer that happened, I went to the blues festival and had a healing in the tent, with the tent stage, because there's a main stage and a tent stage. I went to the tent stage. My husband went to the main stage, and the Blind Boys of Alabama put a healing on me big time. And
Mm-hmm.
I came out of there different than when I went in.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt how much love there is for me and for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. It's so big, your mind can't think of it. And so
Yes.
waves and waves of love pouring over me. Now, that doesn't mean that everything was hunky-dory after that. It wasn't like, oh, life is perfect now. No, I had lots of challenges too. But growing into that blessing, growing into that gift of knowing that love is there, that I am being heard and supported and nurtured by the universe, by source, by God, if you will, that it just kept spurring me on to more and more. And so you want to ask yourself, am I stuck in this place that maybe I have the same relationships over and over again that don't work? Or I don't feel fulfilled in my work, in my job, or the work that I'm putting out there? if everything has like this dullness to it, or there's something that you keep getting annoyed about over and over again, those are the signals that are telling you there's something under the surface that needs to be addressed. And it's
Mhm.
saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. And you don't want to look at it. But here's what I'm going to tell you. It's like the ignoring of it is so much more energy than actually dealing with it, with guidance and assistance and support, which is what we do in the healing work that I do.
How can people connect with you, Tanya?
Well, they can go to healingwiththeblues.com. And on that first page of that website, there's a chat with me, and you can schedule a chat with me. That's fine. And we can do that. I also have a Facebook page, Healing with the Blues, Instagram, Healing with the Blues. And also, what a really great way is to come into our private healing group, also called Healing with the Blues. And that's a private group that you answer 3 questions and you're automatically approved in the group. And I do live healing sessions there every Tuesday. Once you're in the group, you can watch them. For the last 2 years, I've been doing that, and you can go back and watch any of them. And I just ask that if you do that, that you put hashtag replay in the comments, so I know you were there, because I read all the comments,
Yes.
all of them. And I respond to people in those comments. And if you don't see that I respond, then you message me and say, how come you didn't respond to my comment?
I love
Hold me
that.
accountable.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I really do want to talk to you about what's going on and help to see if there's some other steps that we can take with you that will help release you. Because what happens when people do this kind of healing, this deep subconscious emotional healing, is that their physical ailments go away, the relationships are enhanced, they are more creative, more peaceful, more centered, more passionate about life, and more love.
Absolutely. Well, you know for sure I'm going to be hopping onto your website, healingwiththeblues.com. I'm definitely going to join up with your Facebook group and participate with you that way
Please
because
do.
this is a beautiful, wonderful thing. I love the work that you're doing with the world, and I really look forward to you coming back on the show because this is a conversation that we could really, really keep going. And I feel as though, especially at times like this, that it's an important conversation for us to be having. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Thank
so, so
you.
much for joining us today. I want to also say thank you to everybody who joined us over in Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. If you are catching us on the replay, just drop hashtag replay in the comments. If you're catching us on the podcast or on our YouTube channel, thank you so much for watching. Do like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review. Nothing less than 5 stars. Even if you write in the comments, I hate this podcast, still give us 5 stars.
Oh, I love that idea. That's
Awesome.
so great.
So great talking to you. And I look forward to having you back on the show, Tanya. The show isn't over
Thank you.
today. We start again at 1 o'clock, and we're going to be talking to a disruptor. It's going to be amazing when Jonathan jumps in the room with us, ladies. So look out for that at 1, and I'll see you guys on the next show. Bye, everybody.